Sherm Chester here at the Seacoast Sports Forum, and our special guest today, Jay Pinsonault from the Seacoast Media Group. You can catch his byline on seacoastonline.com along with all the Seacoast newspapers. Jay, Happy New Year to you. You have a good holiday season?
Yeah, it's happy 2026, and the holidays are always good, but it's always good to get back in sort of a routine. So we got a first full week back of high school sports this week, so that's good.
So like you just said, the teams are getting back into the thick of things, schoolboy and schoolgirl sports. I know it's going to be a busy week coming up, a couple of weeks for the Blue Hawks here in Exeter because they have 3 home games. They're going to be playing Wyndham and Dover and Nashua North. Portsmouth, the Clippers, we played them just before the break, and you were right. Oh, that's a team. They're a juggernaut. They're a team to contend with.
Yeah, they're good. They've won all they're 4-0. All 4 of their wins coming by double digits, including the last 2 against Seacoast rivals. They won at Exeter on December 19th, 65-52, and then they got back from break last Friday and beat up Winnicott 73-52 in a game where Winnicott held I think it was a 34-33 lead at halftime. So slow start for the Clippers that night, but they got it going in the second half, and their next 3 games starting tonight are on the road, but I still think they're the favorite. Right now there are 3 undefeated teams in Division One. Pinkerton and Bedford are the other 2, but I think in the beginning, the first handful of games here at the start of Division One boys basketball has definitely played out as people thought, with those 3 teams still being undefeated.
I know with that game, that Exeter Portsmouth game, it reminded me of the old days at Boston Garden when Red Auerbach would turn the heat up. That place was so packed, and for some reason, it was like a sauna bath. That's how many people were in there, and then the heat was on for some reason, and they had to keep wiping the floor down because of the condensation. So at the end of the game, I think everybody was just a ball of sweat.
You definitely would know a lot more than me because you're there every game, but it seems like every time I go to a basketball game at Exeter High School, it's those same exact conditions where it's very warm and if not a little hot inside the gym there.
And the Winnicott Warriors, are they going to be on the mend or improve? Or
they're 1-3 on the season. Their only win coming on December 19th at home against Trinity, a 45-30 win there. Trinity came in as one of the better teams in Division One, and Winnicott played great, and that was their only win of the season. And then they had the break, and then they lost to Portsmouth. This stretch for Winnicott at Portsmouth, at Pinkerton, and then home against Bedford. So they have they're 1-3 right now, and facing 2 of the remaining undefeated teams in Division One in their next 2 games. Could be a tough little stretch coming up for Jay McKenna and the Warriors.
now, a lot of the teams were involved in Christmas tournaments. I know the Blue Hawks went up to the Queen City Invitational. The Dover Green Wave, they were the only team locally that was victorious and took a tournament. They won the Bobcat Invitational, the Oyster River tournament.
Yeah, they're 2-2 in the season. They won they beat Timberlane in the finals of the Oyster River Holiday Basketball Classic. Timberlane with an unexpected semifinal win over Winnicott, but Winnicott was out 2 starters that night. So Dover played well in that tournament. Harvey Martinez Perez was named tournament MVP, senior guard. He had a great tournament. And then junior Michael Gorman was also named to the all-tournament team, and Michael led the Green Wave in scoring in all 3 of their wins.
Do you have anything on hockey or what's going on?
Yeah, actually, we have a story going tomorrow. Spalding, who last won the Division II state championship back in 2007, the second year of back-to-back titles there. They're off to a 5-0 start in Division II. Dover as well is 5-0 in Division II. And I think we said at the beginning of the season that Division II hockey, the semifinals consistently have 3, if not 4, Seacoast teams in the Final Four. So that's proven true right now because if you look at the standings, Spalding, Dover, St. Thomas Aquinas, and Somersworth, Co-Brown are the top 4 teams in Division II this year. And then I know Exeter's, they're 0-3. They played Keene, Concord, and Salem. Collectively, they've been outscored 11-1 this season. Their lone goal coming Saturday at Salem, a 5-1 loss to the Blue Devils. They're back in action tomorrow night, Wednesday, at home at the Rinks against Pinkerton. So that should be another good test. Pinkerton comes in at 4-0 in Division I boys hockey.
Now, and I'm just throwing this out as a hypothetical. I know there's, because of the size of the school, they're always going to be in Division I, but there's no chance they ever play some Division II teams, correct?
I've never, in all my years covering, I've never seen Exeter play another Seacoast team, and I apologize to Paul every year because we hardly get to any of his games because we try to cover games where there's 2 Seacoast teams playing and they're never playing a Seacoast team. But he's always very, very gracious with that, with any coverage we do provide his hockey team during the year. But they're struggling now. But one thing about Exeter hockey I've learned over the years that they start off slow and then Paul figures out what type of team he has, and he really has them playing their best hockey come tournament time.
Yeah, we will have Coach DiMarino on at some point. I want to talk hockey with him.
He's one of my favorites.
He's a good guy. Olympics. Now, they keep seeing the ads on NBC for the upcoming Olympics. Maybe we have a future Olympian here at Exeter High School when it comes to track. Lexi Paterna. You had an article about Lexi and her success at the recent track meet.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see Lexi in the I wouldn't be surprised in any success she has. It seems like every weekend she's doing something, dominating the field. A couple weeks ago, she was out in San Diego competing in the national cross country race, and I believe she placed in the 20s, if I'm not mistaken, which got her All-American status. This past Saturday, she broke the Exeter school record in the 1500 in a time of 4 minutes 36.66 seconds, and that won a meet for Exeter. And it was a 10-team meet Saturday at Phillips Exeter Academy. And Paterna's time there, she broke Shannon Murdoch's school record of 4:36.79, which was set back in 2014. And Shannon had a great career at Exeter. So anytime that anyone can break a record, especially a 12-year record that Shannon Murdoch had, that's pretty impressive. So Lexi's not only can she succeed at the cross country, but she's having a great start so far in winter track, and I'm sure the same is going to be said in a couple months when spring track begins.
Kudos to Coach Laura Smith. She's got that team fine-tuned and ready to go, and they had a great meet and Phillips Exeter, and it just looks like good things ahead.
The Exeter 4x800 meter relay team, which Lexi is part of, with her sister Bree, as well as Eli Cross and Izzy Bremer. They won their race in a time of 9 minutes 30 seconds, 30.99 seconds, and at the time of that race, that was the third fastest time in the United States this year. So when I published the story online later Saturday night, Coach Smith got back to me and said that they were knocked out, and there was another school that ran a faster time than they did. But anytime you're in the top 3-5 times in the entire country, you're doing something pretty good. So congrats to the Exeter girls track team on their start to the season.
Well, the other big news that broke regionally over the holiday was we know Rick Santos left UNH to go to the University of Pennsylvania. So the Wildcats were in search of a new head coach, and they decided on Sean Goldrich, who was a 2015 graduate of the Wildcats. He was a star quarterback over in Durham, and 4 years starting quarterback, and he led the Wildcats to a pair of CAA football championships, 4 NCAA tournament appearances, and that was 2 semifinals, national semifinals, 2012 and 2015. And I mean, this guy has the credentials like Rick Santos did. He had 7,500 yards in passing, 1,100 yards rushing, 67 total touchdowns, and it was a best 4 year win total, 37, and a winning percentage, 69.8, and a very successful run with Coach Mack over there. So now he is another Sean taking over the reins of the team, and I think that having somebody that has that experience, success at UNH, doesn't hurt. Rick Santos obviously brought something to the table, and I think Sean Goodrich is going to do the same. What about you?
Yeah, when you lose one former the quarterback to lead your program, you go with another former quarterback to replace them. So Rick Santos did a great job with UNH getting them back in contention for the playoffs, which the Wildcats got into this year, and I think the new coach is going to keep that going forward and keep progressing the UNH football program during his time here.
I think he can relate to the youth on the team. I hope that his quarterback stays with the team. I mean, that's the only problem that all these new coaches, and it doesn't matter what school, the transfer portal throws everything on its ear, trying to keep a team together. And if you have a successful star quarterback, we'll say, keeping that person with the team, building around that person, that player. So I think that's going to be his biggest challenge, is to just keep Matt Vezza, as the quarterback that had a lot of success this past year under Rick Santos. Let's see if he can just keep him on board and build on that success.
I saw recently after the news of Coach Santos leaving that I saw a tweet saying that Vezza entered the portal himself. So I don't know if anything's developed since then or.
Let's talk the National College finals coming up at some point. I thought it was going to be Ohio State and Indiana, to be truthful. That was my choice to go into the national championship for college football, but now Ryan Day got surprised.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. I was very surprised at that result, them losing to Miami, and now I think I had Indiana and Ohio State in a Big Ten championship rematch for the national championship, but now that Ohio State's gone, so I think Indiana is now the clear favorite going in. They totally beat Alabama. Had little problems with the Crimson Tide, and I think they're going to continue this weekend and take home a national championship on January 20th, I believe it is.
And another thing, we've talked about this in a previous show about, the stability of these teams with their coaching staffs or coaches, head coaches. I mean, I think Rick Santos leaving was a bit of a surprise for the Wildcats. But there again, you get these teams like, Indiana, good example. This head coach was at James Madison University a couple of seasons ago, and then he built his program up, and he's cocky, but he's delivered. Whether if he does win the national championship, does he stay with the team? Does he throw his hat into the NFL? Because there's a bunch of openings there now. A contract is a contract is a contract to me. If you shake somebody's hand and say, I'm staying here or I want to be here, I understand money talks, and there's a lot of outlying factors now in the programs because of all this going back to the portal and NIL and all that makes it more complicated for a head coach to keep guys focused. But, I said it in the last program, you're not going to have those days of Woody Hayes, Bear Bryant, Joe Paterno, those coaches that basically made it a career at a school,
Correct. Contracts don't mean anything anymore, sure.
Let's go to the big boys, the NFL. I know you got an article. We'll talk about that maybe in a few minutes in the seacoastonline.com about your affiliation with the Buffalo Bills. But now we get into the playoffs, the tournament. Patriots looking strong. Drake May looking like he wants to be named MVP. I mean, we got some talent there. It's all gelling at the right time. They got to take on the Chargers this weekend. We can run them down, but let's start with that game. The Patriots and Chargers. What
Yeah,
take
I
there?
think the Patriots as the number 2 seed, I think they got the best result they could have wished for facing the Chargers, compared to any of the other teams in the playoffs. I think that fits them well. I wouldn't have want them to see Houston this early, but I think the whole sequence of the AFC playoffs with Patriots facing the number 7 seed Chargers this week. If they were to win that, they'd get most likely
They get the winner of Buffalo and Jacksonville.
no, well, no, because in the NFL, if Buffalo wins, Buffalo goes to Denver. If Jacksonville wins, Jacksonville comes to New England. So
Okay.
I think Buffalo, as the 6th seed, goes into number 3 Jacksonville, beats them, goes into Denver, top seed Denver, beats them, and then the Patriots could face the Chargers in the first round, and then they would get the winner of Houston Pittsburgh in the division round, which I feel comfortable with there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would think Buffalo has a very good chance to beat Denver. And then you have New England hosting Buffalo in the AFC Championship game to get to the Super Bowl.
I'm all in favor of what you say. I think that Buffalo, Josh Allen, I know Trevor Lawrence and Jacksonville are riding a Cinderella season, but could be hitting midnight for them, and especially when you're playing Buffalo. But there again, Buffalo was, by all standards, we all picked them to take the division and be tentatively. You and I especially were tentatively saying they had a Super Bowl shot.
Yep.
They have to prove it now. They have to start knocking people down. And there again, that game is at 1:00 on Sunday. Buffalo versus Jacksonville. So let's just run down some of the games and we can talk about them. The Los Angeles Rams, they have the afternoon game on Fox against Carolina. I mean, I don't see the Rams being knocked out by Carolina.
No, they go in as a. What's funny about this week's playoffs? Only 2 home teams are favored. The Patriots are favored against the Chargers, and then the Eagles are favored against.
They're playing San Francisco.
Okay, so they're favored in that game. So the other 4 games, the visitors are favored, which is the Rams at Carolina, Buffalo at Jacksonville, Houston at Pittsburgh, and I'm missing one.
Green Bay and Chicago.
Green Bay is favored at Chicago. So of the 6 wild card weekend football games, only two home teams are favored of the 6.
Now, see, if I had my dream scenario, and again, I'm not a betting man, but if I had my dream scenario, I want to go back, turn the clock back 40 years, and have a rematch of the Patriots and Bears.
We got to bring back Ray Barry. We got to bring back Ray Barry. We got to bury the Bears after we squish the fish. Bury the Bears to make up for that 46-10. I still have that score ingrained in my brain where William the Refrigerator Perry scored a touchdown.
Yeah.
Instead of Walter Payton, they gave the Fridge the ball at the goal line rather than Sweetness himself.
That's right. Yeah, it was kind of, I've got that videotape somewhere buried in the basement. It'll remain buried in the basement because
Patriots held the lead in that game. They held a 3-0 lead thanks to a Tony Franklin field goal.
That's right.
Yeah, but then it all went downhill from there, Sherm.
I would love to see that matchup. I don't think it's going to happen, but that would be, if I was taking a flyer, I would say that would be a matchup I'd love to see in the Super Bowl for just something out of the ordinary.
And I think the NFL would love that scenario as well, because then you have Caleb Williams versus Drake May, who were drafted 1 and 3 in that NFL draft class in 2024. So I think having the two of the top 3 quarterbacks face off in the Super Bowl, I think that could start a little rivalry there. And I think the Patriots with the schedule came out, or not the schedule itself, but the opponents. The Patriots are playing at Chicago next year, so we'll have May and Williams there. So maybe we can get that rivalry going a little bit earlier with the Super Bowl matchup.
The two bye teams in the AFC, it's the Denver Broncos, and on the NFC side of things, it's the Seahawks, Seattle Seahawks. Um, I mean, both of those teams played tough. Bo Nix, for real, he helped them where they are, and I was hoping, we all were hoping that they'd lose that last game of the season, giving the bye to the Patriots. But no, I was listening to some of the talking heads over the weekend, and they actually said maybe this is good that they've got the momentum going. Drake May and the rest of the Patriots just keep things rolling. Just they're potentially healthy enough to go into this game and not have to worry. So we'll just see how it rolls. And then as far as the Seahawks, they've got a real solid defense. So it's going to be interesting to see how they go on the NFC side of things.
They impressed me the Seahawks last Saturday going into San Francisco, where the winner gets the number 1 seed, the coveted first round bye. Seattle goes on the road and totally just shuts down the San Francisco offense. Yeah. They had Kittle back. They had McCaffrey. He was playing as he's been all year, but they totally shut down that 49er offense. So they really impressed me, and I wouldn't be surprised if Seattle wins 2 games at home. They have a great home field advantage there with the notorious 12s, as they're called. The Seattle Seahawks fans, known as the 12s. It's going to take a valiant effort for any team to go into Seattle in that environment in mid to late January and knock off the Seahawks. I wouldn't be surprised if the Seahawks get back to the Super Bowl.
Well, I know a lot of the commentators kept talking about, San Francisco has to win this one to be able to, the road to the Super Bowl in their own home stadium, blah, blah, blah. But they had to win that game against the Seahawks. So right now, if you were going to pick the Final Four for the NFL, who would you pick?
I'm going New England, Buffalo. As I said, we'll go there. And then I'm going, I haven't seen the bracket. I'm probably saying Philly at Seattle. If they don't meet a round earlier, they could meet a round earlier. I'm not sure how that bracket no. So I'm going Philly at Seattle, and then New England hosting Buffalo, and then Seattle beating Philly, Patriots beating Buffalo. So we're gonna have a Seattle New England Super Bowl with the Patriots win, but I'm not a homer or anything, right?
Yeah.
Patriots over Seattle is my Super Bowl pick.
Yeah, I'll still stick with my
Bears.
I don't say a projection that it would be the Patriots and Bears. That would be my dream matchup. Yeah. But you're right. I think it's going to be Seattle on the NFC side.
Either way, we'd have a Super Bowl rematch. Either Patriots Seahawks or Patriots Bears.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I think that on the AFC side, it's a team that wants to win. Period. I mean, we know that the Patriots had a good schedule this year.
Yep.
But they didn't let that get in their way. They just, they went out and proved themselves. And I don't think there were any really fluky wins. There was that loss to Buffalo that kind of threw things off. But there again, that was a wake-up call.
Yeah.
And, you got, again, a matchup potentially down the road with Buffalo. That will be must-see TV. No doubt about it.
That would be good.
That'll be the ratings buster. And I think Denver, they get the bye, so they can sit back and relax this week. But my heart says one thing, my head says another.
There you go.
In the SeacoastOnline.com, you have an article about how you're finally going to give up the ghost. You had season tickets with the Buffalo Bills for years and years, and people want to read the story of how you came about getting those tickets. We'll let them. But was it hard to give up those season tickets, especially since they were just one row away from the? I
was in the front row. I was in the front row for the last. I first got season tickets to the Buffalo Bills in 2007. I upgraded twice during that time. I got to the front row in section 103, which is the left end zone, since 2011. So I was in the front row of the end zone for 15 years. Sometimes the only bad part of those seats is you couldn't see the other end of the field,
Mhm.
but being in the front row was great. I loved having those seats available to me because if I couldn't go, I had numerous people from the Seacoast, like our friend Terrell Covey. He's a big Green Bay Packer fan. He saw 3 Packer games in Buffalo with my seats. Various other people in the Seacoast, they used my seats when their teams came to Buffalo. So, and then whatever games I couldn't move on my own, I had a friend in Buffalo who bought them from me. So, but the cost, I was offered similar seats in the new stadium, but the cost of the personal seat license and the face value of the tickets made no financial sense to keep my season ticket with the Bills. So, did I want to keep them? Yes. Did it make financial sense for me to keep them? No. And with 5.5 more years of college to pay for, I got to make sure that I'm in a good financial spot and not making silly risks for to buy season tickets for a football team that's 400 miles away. So
You got priorities in order. That's all that matters, friend. That's all that matters. Now, I know you also have season tickets to the Red Sox. We'll just touch on this real briefly, and maybe the next show we'll talk more hot stove baseball. But what they've done for moves, or a couple of moves here and there. Were you impressed with the upcoming season for the Red Sox?
The moves they've made have been good, small moves. I'm still waiting for them to make a couple more like big splashes, especially figuring out what they're going to do with Bregman, or are they going to? Supposedly, they offered him a big 6-year, $170 million contract, which I think is an overpayment for Bregman at that age. But they need someone, and it's not my money. So they need to figure out who's playing third. I do like the trade for Contreras. We'll see. I've liked the minor moves they've made. They still need to make 2 or 3 big moves before they can get into. Do we think the Red Sox are a viable contender to get to the World Series? Because right now they are not. So hopefully in the next 5 or 6 weeks before the truck heads down to Fort Myers, they make a couple more moves and give people a reason to go to Fenway 81 times this summer.
The Bregman thing is the one they seem like they want to do, but whether that's going to come to fruition, that to be TBA, or TBD, as the case be. Anything going on Seacoast Online that we could look forward to?
As I said at the beginning, we have the Brandon Brown did a nice little story on the start of the Spalding boys hockey team. That's publishing tomorrow morning. He's also working on feature on the York High School boys basketball team. They're undefeated. And next, a couple weeks from now, Sherm, David Ortiz will be down at the Brook. I don't know if you saw that. He's going to be the next Boston sports legend to go to a Q&A with fans. And the Brook does a great job. It's a free event. They've brought in a bunch of celebrities in the past. The most recent one was Vince Wilfork, Big Papi, David Ortiz, 3-time World Series champion, will be in Seabrook on Thursday, January 22nd, in the latest Boston sports legend to go to a free Q&A with the fans at the Brook Casino. So.
And I just thought of this. I should have mentioned it when we were talking about the Patriots. You took a road trip with your son to go see the Patriots play the Ravens in Baltimore.
Yeah, yep.
You talked about that, and
What
you were
was
going to do it.
funny? Yes, what was funny, Sherby, you'll like this one. So the game was flexed to 8:00. So we left Hampton at 8:15 Sunday morning, that night, or the day of the game. We got down to Baltimore. We stayed in a hotel about 30 minutes north of Baltimore. So we pulled in the hotel around 3:00. We watched the end of the 1 o'clock games. Then we made our way down to Baltimore. So we're sitting in a restaurant right by the stadium, like just a typical restaurant bar. And all of a sudden, who walks by me, or who I think walks by me, I'm saying, "Is that Dan Curran?" And I said, "No, that can't be Dan Curran." I go, "Dan, Dan," and no one answers. So I go, it must be someone who just looks like him. Then he was with a little kid with a Ravens jersey. So I text him and I go, "Patriots or Ravens tonight?" And then and there was no answer. So then I saw him sit down at a table down the way, and I still couldn't tell. It was dark, and I still couldn't tell if it was Dan or not. So I sat back down at my table, and Dan and it was Dan. He came walking over to me, and so I'm in Baltimore watching the Ravens and the Patriots, or eating before the game, and Exeter's finest boys soccer coach, Dan Curran, is 2 tables away from me. So that was good. And then that was fun. We sat down, we had some food, and then he was in the end zone, and we had good seats in the other end zone. So he was a Patriots fan, his son's a Ravens fan. So he had bragging rights for the night, because that was a great game there. And we were both my son and I had Patriot stuff on, but we had no issues outside the stadium going into the game. We had no issues inside the stadium, and we had no issues at all walking out of the stadium. So I've been to Baltimore many times for baseball. That was my second Patriot game down there, and again, we had no issues at all with the Ravens fans welcoming 2 guys from New England with the Patriot apparel on. So it was a fun time. And then the next week, I received 4 complimentary tickets from the Jets to go to the Patriots game at the Jets. So we bundled up the car again. So back-to-back weeks, we went from going to see the Ravens game, and then the next Sunday we were down the Meadowlands to see the Jets, the Patriots at the Jets. And then this past Sunday, I got numerous texts from people assuming I was at the game at Gillette, and my simple response to everybody was, "We only go to road games. We don't go to Gillette." So
you're road warriors.
Exactly.
I'll tell you, that's a special father-son type of thing. I texted you because right at the end of the game, they were all shouting out MVP for Drake May, and I said, "Are you one of the guys?"
That was me. You heard me.
Check out the article that Jay put on SeacoastOnline.com about his days as a season ticket holder with the Buffalo Bills. It's an interesting read, and also catch up with what's going on here in the Seacoast with the different sports teams that are now back in full score now that we're into the new year. The only thing I was going to add for the 2-minute drill was Doug Poole. Doug Poole is one of the information guys. I don't have his title in front of me, but he's got a lengthy title. But basically, he's the go-to information guy at UNH, and a straight shooter all the way, and a font of statistics. If you need statistics about any team at UNH, you go to Doug Poole. And over the weekend, he got the Joe Kincannon Award from Hockey East for his contributions to the UNH Wildcat women's hockey team over the years. And a good guy, and I'm glad to see he was acknowledged at the game, and also he gets a plaque to go with it. That was cool. Doug Poole.
I saw that in the Boston Globe. That was nice. That was good honor, well deserved.
Yeah, it is. He's a hardworking guy. Believe me. There's a lot of people there that do dual duty or multiple duties, and he's one of them. He's one of the good guys. Well, sir, we'll check back in as we get closer to the Super Bowl for sure. But and then hopefully the Red Sox don't disappoint us, and we can get Mr. O'Brien on before the season kicks off, and we'll
That'd be good.
Have some new players to talk about. I hope, other than Contreras and a couple of pitchers, but we need to get that third base situation firmed up for sure.
Yep.
All right. So on behalf of Jay Pinsonault from Seacoast Media Group, and again, I get all my sports at SeacoastOnline.com. Check it out. This is Sherm Chester wishing you a happy new year and hoping you'll join us for the next edition of the Seacoast Sports Forum podcast.